Hey, everybody, and welcome to this special takeover edition of Pro AV Today. I am your host, Ben Thomas. We got a fun one today. I was having a conversation earlier with some folks and telling them about the conversation we were going to have, and they said a furniture manufacturer, a hardware manufacturer, and a software platform walk into a bar, and then they end up on this show. I think that's a good way to really sum up the conversation that we're going to have today. If you follow this show, if you watch this show, you know we love talking about collaborations. We love talking about cross-industry partnerships. Today is the culmination of that. So I brought on three people today really who are going to give it to us straight and answer some great questions and give us some extra context into some of the things that are happening from a partnership perspective inside the Pro AV community. So naturally, had to bring on Christina Vernon from Steelcase, Rishi Kumar from Logitech, Jimmy Vaughn from Microsoft, and myself. I guess I'm going to be the moderator. I don't know. I don't think I can be an expert on my own show, but I appreciate all of you coming on, and thank you so much for giving some time today.
Thank you.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
So we'll start. I know that some of our viewers and listeners might not be super familiar with everybody that's on the panel. I think it's a good opportunity for us to maybe set the table and set some groundwork real quick. So Christina, if you would just introduce yourself, let us know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ben. I'm Christina Vernon. I work with Steelcase, and I lead our hybrid collaboration and technology partner group at Steelcase. I've been leading this group for probably about the last year and a half. I've been at Steelcase for about almost 6 years, always working in technology partnerships and product collaboration.
That was so concise and wonderful. That's better than any answer I could have given. We should end the conversation there because that was wonderful, but we won't because Rishi's got to go next. Rishi, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, so I am Rishi Kumar. I work at Logitech. I'm the director of a team called Alliances and Go-to-Market. And the whole idea is to make sure we have thriving and productive partnerships with companies like Microsoft and Steelcase, and we're jointly taking some great solutions to market. So that's what my small little team does.
We already plugged Steelcase and Microsoft. You don't have to do it again. They're all on the panel, Rishi.
You know, we love our partners, so I'll keep plugging in our partners through the show.
That's fine. That's okay. That's okay. That's what this show's for, to help be a platform. And then last but not least, we got Jimmy Vaughn. Jimmy and I have connected already offline about our WWE connections. But that aside, Jimmy, great to have you on the show. I kind of want to skip you, but I got to give you a chance to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, everybody, for having me. My name is Jimmy Vaughn. I'm a partner technical specialist here at Microsoft, specifically in Microsoft Teams rooms. I've been in the AV space for about 20-something years, and I've been partnering with Microsoft prior to joining Microsoft in the Link room systems, the Skype room systems, and now the Teams room system space. So AV, IT, Microsoft, it's all sort of there in the job title. And Christina and Rishi, thank you very much for the partnership. We're going to have a great time today.
Look at this. You guys have officially taken over my show. So I'm just going to play the background real quick. I'm going to ask the first question. Christina, obviously, the question that folks might have right now is, why in the world do we have a furniture manufacturer on Pro AV Today? And the answer is very, very simple. I saw a lot of the great work that y'all were doing with the Logitechs and the Microsofts of the world, and said, you know what, it's an important voice and an important conversation for us to have. So I want to start off the conversation with this. How have you as Steelcase found yourself in these AV communities, and who are some of the folks that you're working with?
Yeah, thanks. So I think my goal here is by the time we finish this conversation that we almost forget that Steelcase is a furniture manufacturer, but we're really like a way that people work. You happen to sit in our chairs, but we actually really think thoughtfully about space plus technology plus people. And that's been a long-standing pillar of Steelcase for many, many years. And, you know, we found ourselves sort of working, we actually many years ago were some of the first furniture manufacturers to really delve into technology with our own proprietary room scheduler systems. We used to do a whole space analytics platform. We were really big into showing content virtually in spaces. So we've been doing this for a long time. And now we've just sort of taken this evolution to say, you know what? We want to partner with some of the leading organizations that are doing this, every day. Let us build the space to support the technology and find ways for technology to integrate into space so we can make our customers and their employees that much more successful when they're at work. It's really about doing this for our customers and making sure that when they come to work, they have the tools they need, they have the spaces that they want, and it's a successful experience. We don't want to have any more of these spaces that no one uses because they don't understand the technology, because it's not a great experience. We want these spaces to be really successful. So partnering with Steelcase is really part of our kind of core DNA. We've been working with Microsoft for a number of years. We started out working, doing some co-marketing around a solution called creative spaces, when we were really thinking about how to enable people to be more creative with the Surface Hub product. We then did some co-development, and now we've been working with the Teams team to really think through these signature Teams rooms experiences. And layering in a partner like Logitech for the last couple of years has been super exciting. We've been working with Logitech, just really thinking through, like, how do we manage their technology in our space physically? Like, what happens with the tap controllers? How do we know that we have the right speakers? And where's the rally bar placed in the room to make things successful? So we really think about all of these things, and then we apply it into our applications, because it's not to us about a chair or a table. It's really about that whole experience.
Well, I love that you kind of talked about, obviously, all those partnerships there, and especially on the hardware side, from a technological hardware side, because I think that's where a lot of the natural conversations initially happen, right? Whether it's integrating a specific piece of furniture designed for a specific piece of hardware, but obviously, you start to talk about things like acoustics and aesthetics and all sorts of those different conversations. But Rishi, wanted to ask you as well. I mean, obviously, bringing a partner like Steelcase in, and even, Jimmy over at Microsoft, what are some of the ways that some of those external partners have helped Logitech specifically not only help kind of evolve as a company, but really bring in some new ideas?
Great question. So, in many ways, partnerships have essentially driven the evolution of video conferencing. So, if you go back 10 years, video conferencing was hard, right? You walked into a meeting room and you were nervous. You're like, where is that laminated instruction set of how I get this going? And is there an AV tech close by, right? And of course, around that same time, web video conferencing was taking off. There was Skype, Microsoft bought Skype, then became, Link, and then of course then you started getting into room systems, right? And if you think about that partnership, taking web-based video conferencing, creating really high-end peripherals like Logitech did, and which brought us to what we have with Teams rooms today, working with furniture manufacturers like Steelcase, and then even partners for us like QSys or Extron, where now, if you're going to have every video conferencing room be a Teams room, you have to have AV control, right? There are many things you want to control. So these partnerships have really helped us provide a complete experience to users, right? So you're walking into a video conferencing room. It's fine when it's a smaller room and it just works. But what about the boardroom? And you have so many needs. And Logitech is never going to get in the business of doing all those things. So we have to work with partners. And so I think one of the things that has actually led to Logitech's success is how we've led these technology partnerships and ingrained it in our go-to-market. So almost everything we do is through partnerships to deliver that full solution to customers. So it's really, I think the story of Logitech's success is the story of, our partnerships.
Well, and I really love that you mentioned that, right? Because one of the things, especially in a post-COVID world, that really made Logitech stand out to me was the ability and the willingness to have a lot of those conversations, right? Conversations with other manufacturers, platforms, things like that, which brings us to Jimmy. You look at, Rishi mentioned Skype being a little bit more of a legacy product at this point, obviously, but Teams is kind of the glue that holds a lot of us together these days, right? Not only from an ease of use standpoint, but from an actual connectivity standpoint. How does a platform like Teams and how does a company like Microsoft kind of come in and help be that glue while collaborating across different areas?
Well, it's funny because that's the DNA of Microsoft. If you think of the mission statement of Microsoft itself, it's to enable every person on the planet to achieve more. You can't do that by yourself, Ben. You need partners, and that's what Microsoft is a partner-driven company that we look and we partner with the best in breed. We look for opportunities. Christina with Steelcase, they've been a tremendous opportunity for us when we were developing signature Microsoft Teams rooms. This wasn't just a video conferencing experience. This was about bringing so many things in collaboration and other things into the shared space or the larger room system. So we couldn't do that by ourselves. We actually started making furniture with Steelcase out of cardboard and cutting it and seeing, okay, is this table the right space? Does this feel right? Christina, you said it. You sit in a chair. Does this feel right for that room? All of that goes into this. And our partners over at Logitech bring the technology inside of the room. We're bringing the platform. And you said it, Ben. Teams is leading that conversation. Customers are now going to many in the AV space and saying, hey, we need to do Teams. This isn't about just audio and video. This is about enabling your shared spaces for things like Copilot that are coming, all of the different things that we're doing in the future. And we've got to have partners that, number one, know that vision, and we enable them by knowing that vision, but also can achieve on that vision as well. And when we partner with, like I said, the best in breed, customers get the best in-class service of any platform in the world.
Well, and that is, look, a big shout out to Christina and a lot of the work that you guys are doing, right? When you look at historically the role that furniture has played with technology, obviously it's been important, right? Everything from media centers and entertainment centers in the home, all the way to building in, VESA mounts to TV stands and things like that. But what are some of the ways, Christina, specifically you've seen on the enterprise side, some furniture manufacturers really jump in head first, right? I mean, we talked a little bit about aesthetics a minute ago, but the entire experience of collaboration now is all in one, and the furniture is just as much a part of that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And what Jimmy mentioned about building tables out of cardboard, that's a true story. We were thinking about this. The Teams team came to us and said, hey, we're building this out, and what do we need to do here? And that's kind of the beauty of thinking about these partnerships, because we can now anticipate what's happening with the signature Teams room experience and how we can bring that together to our customers and really show our customers, hey, we're thinking about your experiences. It's not just about a new upgrade from Teams. This is about thinking about where the furniture needs to be placed. Where does the camera need to be in the room? How are we managing these sightlines? Do people have access to the technology that they need when they're sitting at the table? How do we bring that to them without even them having to think it through? So I think, our customers are the ones who are really, paying off in these experiences, because we can now say to them, hey, we heard you're moving into signature Teams rooms. Why don't we think about the space that needs to be there to help support this? And we find little things that we can do. We just launched a new table collection a couple of months ago, but we just created the ways, like our team calls it routing, housing, and mounting of the tech in the space. And we want to be really intelligent about that. So that way it's not an afterthought. We've all seen spaces that are beautiful. You walk in and it's gorgeous tables, gorgeous chairs, beautiful furnishings all around, but the technology isn't working because it wasn't planned for. And so a lot of times it used to be that AV would come in after the furniture was placed, and then the whole experience broke because we weren't doing that together. And now working together, I mean, it's literally a partnership, but it's really about us working together with our customers to making sure that this is coming alive. And it's exciting. I mean, I think that this is probably one of the most exciting parts of the post-pandemic world, is getting to recreate these working spaces, with technology partners.
Well, and those cohesive spaces not only are great from a function and application standpoint, but it makes life easier for the end users, which at the end of the day, we all want to do, right? But Rishi, kind of on that same note, right? One of the things that people, kind of think and will ask from time to time is, yeah, it's great to have collaboration with the furniture side and the platform side and the hardware manufacturer side of the world. But a lot of folks don't really know where to start. Where's it's kind of a chicken or the egg almost. But how does a manufacturer like Logitech, for example, start that collaboration process? Is it building relationships over the years? Is it, hey, we're going to launch this? Well, I mean, what does that look like?
Great question. So Logitech, we're a very design-oriented company. And design is all about understanding your users, what their needs are, and then finding solutions, right? And as I said at the start, we've always recognized that we can't do it ourselves. So let me give you the example of a new product we've launched. It's called Rally Bar Huddle. It's meant for those smaller rooms. And let me talk you through what we've done with Microsoft and and Steelcase to solve some of those user needs. So what we've learned a few years ago was, Windows is, of course, been the core of Microsoft for most of its history. But in the post-PC world, of course, Microsoft is now a cloud company, and most users and companies out there aren't as comfortable managing Windows. So, Microsoft had that idea, and we had this idea that video conferencing needs to get a little simpler to manage and deploy. And we worked together to come up with Teams Rooms on Android, a new flavor of Teams Rooms. And of course, Rallybar Huddle supports Teams Rooms on Android, but we also had customers telling us, we have mixed deployments. And sometimes we want to do Android and sometimes we want to do Windows. And so it's been a great innovation working with Microsoft in the same device, giving customers an option on how they deploy and the flexibility to switch if over time their needs evolve. So this has been a great collaboration with Microsoft to meet that user need, that, in our case, an IT's need to take a very design-oriented approach. Now you take that into the more physical experience in the room, and we've learned so much from Steelcase, right? Early conversations with Steelcase, we started thinking about look and feel of the room and how the look and feel of the furniture needs to extend to even the video bar. So what we did with Rallybar Huddle is you can actually have changeable covers. So you can have a customizable cover that could actually match the fabric and the aesthetics of the room. So that's something you can do. And then, of course, if you're in an environment where even the hardware needs to be wiped down, now you can have a wipeable cover and all built to our specs. We learned so much about user behavior in the meeting room from Christina and her colleagues in design. One thing we learned was that if you take a table and you affix it to the front of the room, you're actually wasting some real estate, and you start seeing this bloom effect where people start pulling their chairs back. And that taught us a lot about field of view. There are some manufacturers out there who tout a 180-degree field of view, but it actually creates certain behaviors that are not good for the video conferencing experience. And so that informed what the right field of view should be, where the table is typically placed, etc. So again, this design-oriented thinking leads us to the things we need to deliver to customers. And then, of course, we need to bring in our key partners to make sure that that entire solution meets their needs. So it's been a great journey.
Well, one of the things that you said, Rishi, that really stood out is this idea of willingness to really collaborate outside of maybe a closed ecosystem. And unfortunately, one of the cornerstone things that our industry collectively has struggled with for a long time is this idea of we want to hold everybody in a closed ecosystem, whether it's a closed protocol, whether it's, my black box. You can only use my black box and it will only interact with this and that. And Jimmy, one of the best examples of that, really, that Rishi mentioned was the openness for the Teams platform to become, I don't want to say open standard. That's not necessarily correct. But, when you, even stepping back, you look at the DNA of Microsoft and having a platform like Windows that people would develop on and would have, a lot of creativity was opened up by the Windows platform. And then taking that idea and then taking Teams and opening it up, even beyond that, what are some of the ways that you've seen, it doesn't have to be Microsoft specific, but what are some of the ways that you've seen the industry really embrace a lot of that more open ecosystem?
Well, it's a great time to be in the AV industry because there's so much opportunity for integrators to actually put their expertise into the systems. Rishi, you were talking about Microsoft Teams Rooms on Android and sort of expanding that. We have seen a huge adoption of Microsoft Teams Rooms around the world, much larger than any other time in history, Ben. And that's the opportunity for the AV people. We're always going to have that top room. And that top room is the boardroom that's always had the technology of all of the microphones, all the speakers, and sort of lives in that side. But what we're really doing with Microsoft and the opportunity for the AV professionals is to really expand and do this on a scale that's never been seen before. There are stats out there right now that say even today, we've only penetrated 10% of the meeting room opportunities that need technology. 10%, 1 out of 10 rooms. We're seeing that opportunity scale, and we're seeing the AV industry really sort of take their expertise and apply it to many different types of rooms. Rishi, you were talking about the huddle. Smaller rooms are really where the booming is sort of happening. As we've talked about hybrid work, as we've talked about going back to work and people going back to the office, that's where AV professionals are coming in and saying, okay, we're not only going to do no more offices or specific offices for people. We're going to have to develop these shared spaces. And shared spaces are either shared personal spaces or shared multi-person spaces. So the AV industry has already been doing this for many, many years. That's where their expertise lives. And by delivering products on scale with a whole bunch of margin attached to them, they've really got an amazing opportunity. Then you had the opportunities with Christina, with the Steelcase, all of these different things that they've been doing for years, but they never sort of capitalized on. So now customers are saying, all right, I've adopted Teams. I know who did my large conference room. Let me go to them and see how I actually scale to all these other places and how I come up with a plan. I say it all the time, Ben. You can't talk about Teams rooms without talking about Microsoft Teams. And we have flipped integrators going out to customers going to integrators and asking for these kind of solutions. And Christina, Rishi, you can share my enthusiasm for the signature Teams rooms, because so many times customers will visit these kind of rooms, and they are at the Steelcase locations, and they'll visit and they say, I want this room. Not this technology, not this table, not this chair. I want this room. I want the lighting. I want everything that experiences it. Because Rishi, you talked about it. Rooms have been complicated in the past. So many people want what they have built at home, which is I sit down, I hit the single touch join, and now all of the technology around me engages and I'm in the meeting. And we know that that's 90% of the challenge of so many of these rooms. So again, bringing that in, I think there's tremendous opportunity in the AV space for people, and I'm excited for the whole industry as a whole.
Well, and Jimmy, I love that you blew by probably the biggest challenge in the industry right now, which is the evolution of the channel. And you just mentioned it very casually, and I think you just solved it right there, right?
Off.
Well, I'll tell you what, before we wrap up, I want to give you all a chance to pull out your crystal balls and really kind of speak on behalf of your industries, which is, it's a big weight. It's very significant, but especially when it comes to the future of how your specific sector and industry interacts with Pro AV moving forward. And of course, we got to start with you, Christina. When you think about the furniture side of the world, whether that's enterprise, whether that's residential, whether that's, small and light commercial, what are some of the ways that you see the furniture side of the world continuing to collaborate and drive the AV industry forward?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this is the crystal ball for us. And I have a colleague that works in our work from home side of the business. And he's like, I'm the other side of hybrid work, So I think we do have a lot of opportunity to make those work from home spaces even better from, thinking through how do we even think about, what technology needs to be in the home to really make that experience even a little bit better. What is the furniture need to be to work there, because we want both of those sides of that coin to be successful. So I think that's one area where we're going to see a lot of evolution. The other, space for us as we continue to think about is just new ways to collaborate. Now that might be in a smaller, huddle room like I'm in right now. That could be in large huddle rooms, but it could be these one-to-one connections in the open plan. I think that there's a lot more coming out from that perspective. And just finding those ways that we can't be together all the time any longer. I mean, we know that travel budgets have, reduced, and we're not traveling as much to like used to be. You'd be like, okay, I'm going to go, every week I'm going to be on the road. And I feel like that paradigm has shifted, but I'm wondering how we might be able to really think through how do we have those serendipitous, hallway conversations or the meeting before the meeting that can happen even via technology in space and make that happen, virtually. So I think there's so much more to come from this. We have learned so much over the course of these last several years, and it's only going to continue to accelerate. We can see that now, how quickly things are evolving.
Agreed. And I'm going to flip the script a little bit. I'm going to go to Jimmy next. I'm going to give Rishi the last word here. But Jimmy, from we'll call it a platform, maybe a software platform perspective, what are some of the ways that you anticipate collaboration with the AV industry moving forward here in the next 5-10 years?
I think there's one thing that really sort of blows my mind right now, and it's AI. AI is going to revolutionize.
That's the low hanging fruit answer, but I'll allow it.
Thing we do, Ben. I can't say it enough. It's Copilot. It is 100% where Microsoft is going. I have seen it. I have lived it. It is unbelievably impressive in its infancy. Some of the things that we've seen here at Microsoft is we've done 10 years of development in almost 4 months. That's how fast all of this is sort of coming through. But you need Teams rooms to be able to take advantage of all of this AI technology. This isn't about just audio and video. This is about working with our partners at Logitech who know what's coming, who understand how we're going to actually do these rooms, and Steelcase who understand, hey, when I put people around a table, they've got to be separated at the right place because AI is going to be able to give us each frame. You know, as we sit here right here and we each have our frame of video, isn't that what we want in our meeting room as well, instead of that overhead view that's sort of known as the bowling alley view that we've become accustomed to? We want AI to actually solve all of this. AI is going to be what is going to be on the forefront of not only Teams, but all of Microsoft in general for the next coming years. And it's going to be, believe me, when you see these things in real life, this is so much more than just the AI that you're used to because it's grounded in your data. I mean, things like being able to call up when you're inside of a Teams room and say, hey, can you show me the last monthly rhythm of business report from this? And generative AI will automatically generate and look for all of the documents that come in, and it's inside of your meeting automatically. These are the kind of things that are sort of coming. And like I said, you need to have the right technology inside of the room. A phone doesn't cut it anymore. Your own device doesn't really cut it anymore because you don't want things like that staying behind inside of the room itself. So like I said, I'm really, really excited for our channel because outfitting these spaces, and Christina, you even said it perfectly as well, even outfitting your private spaces, it's going to be something that's really, really exponential over the next few years.
Well, Jimmy, it's the easy answer because it's probably the right one. And that's, you know, AI means so many different things to different people at this point, but I tend to agree with you, especially from the development side of the world. We haven't even scratched the surface.
And generative AI is the important part. AI encompasses is that all-encompassing thing, but generative AI is really where it's coming to fruition. We've already seen it change people's behavior with Microsoft Edge, the way that they interact and they talk. It's no longer just a search engine. Now it's actually talking back and giving you information, and it's grounding and doing things and learning as you interact with it.
Well, I've got to agree with you, but I got to give Rishi the last word here. As the representative for the hardcore, true pro AV folks, how can we better as a community reach out to some of these folks and proactively bring in collaboration and partnerships? And what are some of the ways that you anticipate growth there in the next 5 to 10 years as well?
Hey, first of all, I have to say I am grateful to represent Logitech in a conversation about Pro AV, and even, as you alluded, considered to be an insider, because for the longest time, we were considered the outsiders, right? We'd go to ISC 3-4 years ago and people would ask us, like, what are you guys doing at this show? Like, why are you here, right? So I would start there, which is let's embrace change, right? Because the good news is that video and AI will be everywhere. We have not solved for hybrid work. I mean, if you just look at the US as an example, look at any article about occupancy rates, they are low. Right. So I completely agree with Jimmy. Yes, AI is going to solve a lot of problems. We've just launched a product called Logitech Sight, which kind of solves the problem. Jimmy, you alluded to the bowling alley view, right? It sits in the front, in the center of the room, but it works with the front of room camera to kind of give you always the best perspectives. So that's AI at work. But then coming back to the future and the opportunity for the AV, you know, there's embracing change, but then there is so much that is unsolved. So if you think about bringing people back to work, it is not just about the meeting rooms. Yes, we're going to have a bunch of huddle rooms and your traditional rooms, and we will also have signature Teams rooms, but you're going to have all these open spaces and high impact spaces. And that's where other partnerships come in. I mean, clearly we need the furniture leaders like Steelcase, because how do you spur those interactions that makes it valuable? It allows people to earn that commute, right? Everyone just wants to be at home with their amazing setup. Why would I drive an hour into the workplace? And that experience comes from furniture, you know, creating the right interactions. But then where AV has to play a part is design those spaces. Microphones are complicated. Managing those spaces is complicated. And then, of course, Logitech is here as part of the ride, and we want to make sure everything just works seamlessly through Teams, through the furniture, and it's creating this amazing opportunity for our AV channel partners. So I think it's a bright future, and we, as I said, grateful to now be considered an insider.
I'll go to battle with anybody that says Logitech is not an AV company, because Steelcase is an AV company now. Microsoft is an AV company now. And anybody who says otherwise, write me an email or something like that. Yell at me in private or whatever. I'm not going to do anything to you. But anyway, Christina, Rishi, and Jimmy, we appreciate you coming on the show today. This very special edition of Pro AV today. Couldn't have imagined a better group of guests to come on to have this conversation. I'm so grateful for the three of you for coming on. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very fun.
And thank you for joining us at home. Be sure to tune in and subscribe. Watch us next time on Pro AV Today.